today's battle royale, Elon Musk's fight for Twitter and the potential impact it could have on the growing empire he is building. CNBC's Phil LeBeau has a breakdown of all that is currently under Elon's umbrella, all the thoughts in his head, the things that he intends on doing. Phil, take it away.
You think I know what's in Elon's head? Nobody knows what's in Elon's head, Melissa. I've heard this suggestion today, oh, he'll be too distracted to run Tesla if he's also running Twitter. Let's take a look at Elon's empire. And if you think he's distracted right now, he's added things over the years, and he keeps on growing, and he keeps on having success. Starting first off with Tesla. I am showing you the stock back to when he was part of the IPO in 2010. I was there at the NASDAQ that day. We interviewed him. He talked about having this dream of growing the EV business. Since then, the stock is up more than 21,000%. Why? Take a look at the Tesla sales, annual deliveries, and how they've grown. This year, they're expected to hit 1.47 million. So he's CEO of Tesla, but he's also the chairman of SpaceX. He started SpaceX back in 2002. I remember 15 years ago when people were like, yeah, he's off playing with his rockets in the desert. No longer are people saying that. The valuation for SpaceX, $100 billion. That's the estimate right now. What about the Boring Company? Started in 2016. We were out in Los Angeles when people were running around with flamethrowers saying he's going to solve traffic problems. Hasn't really happened. They've got one tunnel that opened last year in Las Vegas. It basically has Teslas going from one part of Vegas to another. Boring Company has not exactly panned out. And then he's got a bunch of other interests that are out there. There's Neuralink. You don't hear him talk about that very much. Dogecoin, crypto. He likes to talk about that on Twitter. And then finally, of his other interests, it's AI development, humanoid robots, things like that. So, Melissa, I hear this suggestion all the time. Oh, he'll be too distracted. Tesla is going to suffer if he's running Twitter. Look, could that possibly happen? Yes, but I would argue that if you talk to people who have worked for Elon Musk, they all say the same thing. Extremely demanding. Demanding to the point that it can drive some people nuts. But at the same time, he gets performance because he sets goals and targets, and he says, why don't we do it this way? And a lot of times, they ultimately do succeed. Sometimes they don't, but a lot of times they do.
There are also sorts of these other crazy things. I don't want to say crazy, but like the notion that Tesla should have a nickel mine, or that Tesla has a patent for lithium extraction. I mean, there are all these things that we don't even, bring to the surface, but they are in the works. They're rattling around his head. They are things that he's working on simultaneously.
Things that may pan out or may not pan out. Look, full self-driving is a perfect example. He has said for years, oh, this year we're going to have full self-driving. We're going to release the full beta. You'll see it all over the place. And it hasn't panned out yet. I don't know if you can criticize him for that, but you can say that he throws out these grandiose plans. As you said earlier, Melissa, he likes to tackle the big problems. And with Twitter, what would he be tackling? Social media. Can the world benefit from social media in an open forum the way he wants it to be an open forum? That's a huge question.
Yeah. Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau.
You bet.
So maybe he does have the mind space to deal with Twitter, but will he actually get control of the company? And Karen, I guess that's sort of the next question here as we sort of see the headlines about the potential Thoma Bravo bid. What would another bidder have to do to actually have the superior bid in this case?
They would have to bid more than Elon. They would have to bid 55.20 or more. They could match it or more. The board can say no. The board can definitely, I think they'll put in a pill. They're allowed to say no. But what they can't do is say yes to one bidder at a lower price and no to Musk at a higher price. So they have to come in at least that much. For a private equity bidder, it just seems like a really giant equity ticket to write. You can't lever this thing up in a huge way. So, I mean, who knows? We might hear all kinds of names. But right now, it's Elon's to buy if he wants it, unless the company says no. 54.20 is not enough.
Let's say let's say the board gets the ability to put in a poison pill, and they say no. They all of a sudden, Dan, have this really urgent mandate to come up with something, because the only reason why we saw the stock price get goosed is because Elon Musk got involved.
This is a company that a couple months ago knows that all the technological issues they have and all the issues about growth, and they announced a multi-billion-dollar share buyback. Okay, I'm just telling you, that's the management that you're dealing with here. And that was a new CEO. This wasn't Tim Cook taking over Apple 10 years ago and saying, hey, we generate so much cash, we're going to give it back. Or Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella, who did all those sorts of things. So to me, sold to you.
Up next, final trades.